So this next game, ladies and gentlemen, is one that honestly came out of absolutely nowhere for me. Basically, I was just scouring through Twitter, and I just saw a tweet by Ant Dude mentioning this game, and I'm like, okay, what is this? So I had a quick look at the gameplay and went, okay, this looks interesting. Then I discovered the price of this game, which was £5, or, well, close to £5, more like £4 something. So, but you know, I gave it a go. And you know what? Oh! So Lunistice is basically a 3D platformer where you play as a tanuki called Hana. And essentially the whole point of this game is, well, it's an obstacle course platformer where you go from point A to point B through a number of levels in order to get to the end. And throughout the course of the stages themselves, you have to pick up cranes, little letters that are scattered about and hidden away of her name, as well as, well, keys and whatnot, and other little secrets here and there. Now, the base gameplay, the best way I can really sort of describe this is if you take a good chunk of platformers and lob them together into a grinder, this is what you're going to basically get. So, you got elements from Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario, and so many other games just seem to be like hodgepodged into this. Now, I don't know if it's intentional, but honestly, when I'm playing through this, there's loads of areas where I'm like, that looks like it was inspired from Spyro the Dragon. This looks like it's from Sonic Adventure 2, you know, and I am seeing so many little things that just, whether intentional or not, I don't know, it tickles the nostalgia bone for me. And speaking of the old nostalgia bone, the game itself, as you can tell, is going for like a Sega Saturn, Sony PlayStation 1 aesthetic, where it has this really low resolution sort of look with all jagged edges and low polygon graphics. And generally, honestly, it looks really, really cool. It's like a really great love letter, I guess, to that era in terms of how it looks. And of course, one of the coolest things about it as well is that if you really don't like this sort of look, well, you can actually go into the options menu and you can toggle on high resolution rendering, which basically, well, it's not going to upgrade the polygon count or anything, you know, the base game will still look the same, but it'll up the resolution so the jagged edges won't be so bad. But honestly, it's such a really cool look. It's basically, the way this game looks, it looks like how you remember Sega Saturn and PlayStation 1 games. It's not limiting itself essentially, but it is going for that very specific style. And fortunately, unlike those games, it runs at a perfectly smooth, at least on the Steam Deck, 60 FPS, no problems whatsoever. And because of that, the way the game feels and controls is just, oh, so responsive, so snappy, it feels wonderful. In fact, in general, the controls of this are actually pretty damn good. Surprisingly good, in fact. Because you, no matter what, at all times, you basically feel like you're in total control of Hana. Is it Hana or Hannah? Either way, you're in control of the main character at all times, where you have a lot of inertia to you if you start going at full speed, but at the same time, you know, the controls are precise enough that you're not slipping off of everything, you know, you feel like I can make this jump onto this tiny platform, no problem, and you'll be able to do it. In terms of the basic abilities that you have, there really isn't much. So essentially you have a jump, a double jump, and a spin attack Super Mario Galaxy style. And essentially, you can do a triple jump if you really want it by jumping again, then doing the spin attack to get extra airtime. You know, it works like that. But generally, not very many moves to deal with. And of course, there are some certain level specific gimmicks, like you got boost pads that sort of speed you up, and there's even like grinding rails, much like Ratchet and Clank or Sonic the Hedgehog, where you jump on one of these rails, you have to manage your weight and balance in order to get the maximum speed, and you can just plow straight through. And honestly, the level design, oh my god, it's so fun. Like, seriously, I've just completed this game not long ago. It didn't take me long, it's not a very long game, but I've been really enjoying it, and I'm probably going to be revisiting this over and over and over again, just getting all this stuff to get 100%, and just honestly just for a casual run through every now and then, I can see myself quite easily doing. Of course, during the game as well, you are also graded on your performance at each level, and your grade will depend purely on how many cranes you collected through the stage, and if you don't die much. So basically, the more you die, the lower your grade ends up being at the end of the stage. I don't think you get graded on your score, but it does show your timer, and just due to how this game feels and controls, and just how honestly really fun the level design is, I can see the speedrunning community having quite a bit of fun with this one. So if you're into your speedrunning, this might be a great game for you. The soundtrack of the game as well is also absolutely phenomenal. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? Honestly, the best way I can describe the music here is it's very poppy, upbeat, and sort of, it's kind of like an earwig, you know, it sort of gets in your head and you just hum along as you're playing through each of the stages. And one of the cool things about the game, honestly, is the fact it's not terribly easy. You know, there's quite a decent amount of challenge to it, but it's never frustrating. You know, it's such a fair game, and there's infinite lives, so you really don't have to worry about dying either, which is a very nice touch, which I do absolutely love. Now, anybody looking for like a story, this isn't really the game for you, as far as I can tell, because basically there is like, from me completing the game, there's like two cutscenes. You know, there's an initial cutscene and then there's an ending cutscene. Like, this isn't a very story-focused game, which can be a good thing in and of its own right, because it's just, you know, pick up the game, got a little bit of an introduction, and then you just fucking go. You know, what can I tell you? You just plow through the levels, collecting all the shit, bish bash bosh, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Yes. Oh, delightful. Oh, what can I tell you? But yeah, genuinely, I've loved my time with this. This was such a surprise little game that I just grabbed, honestly, out on a whim, and kind of more people, I think, need to know that this game exists, you know, and it's completely perfectly playable on the Steam Deck as well. My entire playthrough has been on the Steam Deck, and it's not marked as verified or anything, but it probably should be, because flawless, absolutely flawless experience. And in terms of the actual content of the game, it's actually not the most amount of content in the world, but it's a decent amount, especially if you take in consideration the price of the game, because this is a very cheap game. Now, for my initial playthrough, I beat it within 2 hours. You know, it's not exactly, you know, it's not exactly the most time-consuming thing in the world if you think about it, but in terms of just how much you can do in the game, I think it's just more than worth it. Plus, there's also little extras that you can do once you've beaten the initial game. Like, you can go back to each of the stages to get all of the Hana tokens, maybe look for the keys and whatnot. And yeah, honestly, for the price, I think the content is top notch. So yeah, that is Lunistice, and honestly, it's an absolute surprise of a game. It caught me so off guard. I just really thoroughly enjoyed it through and through. And yeah, I just completely 100% recognize it. Recommend it. Fucking recognize. What? Yeah, so yeah, I absolutely recommend it, and it is without a doubt a solid, fantastic time. Like, for the money that it costs, it is totally worth it. It's so fun. And it's also one of those games as well, I find, like, I even right now, as I'm recording this review, I am itching to get back into it. I'm itching to get back into the levels and give it another run. You know, like, it's one of those sort of games where you play it and you want to replay it over and over and over to increase your time, to get faster times, to do better in the game, and so on, you know, ladies and gentlemen. But with that, yeah, I shall catch you all again, so I shall leave it here. So thanks you all for watching. Don't be sheepish, and I'll see you all again. Bye!